Hello, everyone. I'm here today to read to you the Inner Child Cards companion book. So I'm going to read the first pages of information and then just go through and read the entire book without any commentary. So here we go. The publishing page, Inner Child Cards, A Journey into Fairy Tales, Myth, and Nature. Aisha Lerner and Mark Lerner. Illustrated by Christopher Guilfoyle. Bear and Company Publishing, Santa Fe, New Mexico. And of course, my battery is getting low. Blessed be the children, for they shall inherit the earth. That's for sure. To Gabrielle, Katya, and the children of the earth. And personally for me, to Jet Cruz Ryan, my children of the earth. The contents are as follows. Acknowledgement, Foreword by Ontario Ali. Preface. Part 1, The Oracle, How to Use This Deck, Using the Deck with Children. Layouts, The Wishing Well, What's Around the Corner, The Child, The Rainbow. Hopscotch, The Spiral Staircase. Part 2, The Major Arcana, Introduction. Little Red Cap, Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, The Fairy Godmother, Mother Goose, The Emperor's New Clothes, The Wizard, Hansel and Gretel, Hansel and Gretel, Peter Pan, Beauty and the Beast, Snow White, Alice in Wonderland, The Midas Touch, Jack and the Beanstalk, Sleeping Beauty, The Guardian Angel, The Big Bad Wolf, Rapunzel, Wishing Upon a Star, Cinderella, The Yellow Brick Road, The Three Little Pigs, The Earth Child. Part 3, Minor Arcana Introduction, The Magic Wands, Ace of Wands, 2 of Wands, 3 of Wands, 4 of Wands, 5 of Wands, 6 of Wands, 7 of Wands, 8 of Wands, 9 of Wands, 10 of Wands, Child of Wands, The Little Prince, Seeker of Wands, Dorothy, Guide of Wands, the Pied Piper, Guardian of Wands, Raphael. The Swords of Truth, Ace of Swords, 2 of Swords, 3 of Swords, 4 of Swords, 5 of Swords, 6 of Swords, 7 of Swords, 8 of Swords, 9 of Swords, 10 of Swords, Child of Swords, Pinocchio, Seeker of Swords, the Scarecrow, Guide of Swords, Robin Hood, Guardian of Swords, Michael, or Mikhail. The Winged Hearts, Ace of Hearts, 2 of Hearts, 3 of Hearts, 4 of Hearts, 5 of Hearts, 6 of Hearts, 7 of Hearts, 8 of Hearts, 9 of Hearts, 10 of Hearts, Child of Hearts, Goldilocks. Seeker of Hearts, the Tin Man, Guide of Hearts, the Good Fairy, Guardian of Hearts, Gabrielle. The Earth Crystals, Ace of Crystals, 2 of Crystals, 3 of Crystals, 4 of Crystals, 5 of Crystals, 6 Crystals, 7 Crystals, 8 Crystals, 9 of Crystals, 10 of Crystals, Child of Crystals, Huck Finn. Seeker of Crystals, the Cowardly Lion. Guide of Crystals, Saint Nicholas. Guardian of Crystals, Gaia. Notes, bibliography, about the author, about the artist. That just gives you an overview, and one thing that I have noticed so far, even though I said I was not going to do a commentary, this is a little side note, I noticed that I have not seen the word tarot anywhere. So we'll see if that pops up. But they are just called cards. And now we will start with the acknowledgements. Acknowledgements. We would like to thank Barbara Hand-Clow, Barbara Dorn-Drew, our editor, Gail Vivino, our designer, Marilyn Hager Biethen, and all the staff at Bear & Company for believing in the magic of this product and helping us offer it to the world. Warm and deep appreciation goes to Hannah Jacobson Neely. Hannah is a poetic and marvelous storyteller. Many pages in this book are blessed with her insight and profound love of fairy tales. Thank you to our daughters, Gabrielle and Katya, for sharing their opinions and advice concerning the imagery in the cards. Our heartfelt appreciation goes out to those special friends and loved ones who have been supporting us for many years. Cherie and John Godin Bynum, Betty Porter, Stephen Ehring, Kaya Weinman, Tom Borman, Nancy Vieira, Yvonne Vowles, Christine Rigg, Steffi and Gary Escadon, Lee Zive Baron, and David and Gladys Lerner. We warmly acknowledge the memory of Colleen Keating, Aisha's mother, whose passing opened a profound journey into pain, love, and compassion for Aisha. A loving embrace and thank you are offered to the inner child who guided us and opened our hearts during this endeavor. This project is testimony that pain can be transformed into a gift of love. Love is the greatest healer of all. Finally, a special gratitude is owed to our dear friend and artist who illustrated the cards, Christopher Guilfoyle. Some people who go further back than the human heart can fathom. Forever in friendship, we thank you. Foreword. The universal archetypes of the tarot. Oops, there's the word. Foreword. The universal archetypes of the tarot, the fool, the wizard, the priest, the king, are common to all mythologies around the world. Yet, as with any genuine cultural artifact, each tarot deck is designed and interpreted to reflect the authentic aesthetic and the bias of its respective artists and philosophers. It works for someone in part by his or her personal resonance with the art and the philosophy in it. This very marriage between the art and philosophy is what sets the tarot apart from most esoteric and so-called occult systems. Like art, and also like philosophy, a tarot system is a reflection of an epoch, an era in human history. We are not human beings having spiritual experiences as much as we are spiritual beings having human experiences, and the tarot is a language articulating the soul's spiritual journey through the distinct human domain. The real esoteric function behind the tarot is not in its use as a fortune-telling or divination implement, but its uncanny capacity for mapping out the life we are living now. In this way, the tarot is a hall of mirrors for the times of our lives. It reveals the formation of human culture and the multiple phases of its own transformation and growth. Whether that is the microculture of some designing his or her own personal tarot, or the macroculture of the traditional Egyptian pantheon, each tarot card mirrors a series of peak moments in one's personal and collective history. These peak experiences are crystallized in images holding great power and insight by the virtue of their intimacy with the specific details of our deepening humanity. The key word here is specific. It is through the very, very specific that the universal ground of being shared by all comes to light. Comes to light, and I need a little more light. Attention to vivid detail is another reason why tarot works, and it does so without requiring the user any belief in any dogma whatsoever. I remember my surprise upon hearing a professional tarot reader once tell me, "I don't believe in the tarot, but it works." An effective oracle, which the tarot can be, reflects those processing, enabling a greater belief in oneself and what we choose to stand for. A tarot challenges the knowledge of not the truth, but one's own truth. The tarot acts on the soul, those essences of a life lived within us. By the degree of its imaginative power, the more imaginative the tarot, the closer it tends to speak to the soul's own psychic dialect. At a time when people run the risk of losing their imaginations and their incumbent souls to excessive television and mass media advertising. These were produced before the internet. Side note. We have Mark Lerner and Aisha Lerner's Inner Child cards, a soulful return to the Euro-American roots of fairy tales. Before the age of reason, before Descartes, before Newton, higher learning was commonly transmitted through stories and through fairy tales. In the light of new enlightened scientific thinking, fairy tales rapidly lost value for serious adults and were delegated to the children, where they remain today. Fortunately, for us more imaginative adults, Inner Child cards arrives just in time, telling stories we all can remember. This news may not come easily to some of the more traditional tarot aficionados who have identified with Babylonian, Sumerian, Egyptian interpretations of times past. Many will be surprised and even outraged by the audacity of Inner Child cards, and for good reason. First, these cards celebrate the imaginative spirit of the child. Second, they dismantle and rearrange the traditional metaphors. As a general, semantics theory informs us, in the realm of the psyche, whoever controls the traditional metaphor also governs the mind. Mark Lerner and Aisha Lerner have accomplished nothing less than a symbolic miracle by updating the archaic mystical systems to the Euro-American cultural roots that they and many more of us share today. The most radical part about inner child cards is how well it works, how it plucks and plays resonant chords of emotional memory and the psychic life trapped away in loving, forgotten childhood stories. Every picture, a different story. Christopher Guilfoyle's enchanting illustrations cast their own whimsical spell, as if they were painted by the fairies themselves. The stories Little Red Cap, Aladdin, and the Magic Lamp, the fairy godmother, full magus, high priestess, say it all. And finally, the authors reveal a sense of humor in the way that the devil is portrayed by none other than the big bad wolf himself. This alone may be enough to begin demystifying our demons. Inner child cards have been created by two professional astrologers with extensive backgrounds in tarot symbology. Mark Lerner and Aisha Lerner have coincided the release of these cards with a monumental astrological event known to astrologers everywhere as the Uranus and Neptune conjunctions in Capricorn from 1991 to 1995. It would take an entire book to explore the meaning of these conjunctions, but I will say that the only other time something this big happened during this century in astrological terms was the outright cultural revolution of the late 60s, when Uranus and Pluto were conjunct in Virgo. The tremendous cultural changes seen in the world today suggest as much. These cards also come at a time, astrologically speaking, when after 2,000 years, humanity prepares to enter the age of Aquarius. Every astrologer knows how every sign comes with its opposite, and each astrological era with its own polarity of cosmic forces. In the age of Aquarius, this is none other than Leo the lion, the astrological symbol, among other things, the archetype of the inner child. The authors know what they are doing. In addition to exploiting these traditional myths of these fairy tales, in addition to exploring the traditional myths of these fairy tales, they have ventured into the future by creating new mythos symbolized by the portrayal of the last card in their deck, traditionally called the world. Their earth child encapsulates the entire journey of the major arcana in one card, bringing together the end with the beginning as a celebration of the galactic time of our true spiritual origins, souls struggling to be born and to embody the human condition. The minor arcana has also been masterfully rearranged for optimum creativity by renaming the four traditional suits, wands, swords, cups, and pentacles, as the magical wands, the swords of truth, the winged hearts, the earth crystals, winged hearts, the earth crystals, respectively, respectively. And the early heaviness and exaggerated sobriety of adult wisdom has been lifted, praise be, to reveal the seriousness of children playing. As teachers of contemporary education now know, the spirit of play not only accelerates the learning process, but teaches the value of learning new ways to keep learning. The 16 court figures of the minor arcana amplify the original intention of the traditional tarot by breathing new life into the educational model of apprenticeship. Through the modern story of the Wizard of Oz, the wandering soul learns to experience the three-centered human by having a head, a heart, and a gut. The familiar stories of the Little Prince, Pinocchio, Goldilocks, and Huck Finn articulate with compassion the formative and infantile stages of learning in each of the four domains. Three of the four archangels, Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, have been joined by the guardian of crystals herself, Gaia, to provide invisible protection along the naive soul more perilous precipices. Other cards reflect possible role models and aspirations to guide the apprenticing soul on its journey. And lest we forget, it is the soul as apprenticing human. Since its mysterious inception centuries ago, tarot images have been depicted in tableau format as gorgeously frozen moments suspended in time. By assigning a different archetypal story to each and every image, inner child cards make a quantum leap from still life to three-dimensional animation, and each card comes to life with its own beginning, middle, and end. This alone is worth the ticket price to the author's multidimensional theater of the soul. And Terry and Teto Ali, Seattle, Washington, January 1992. And Teto Ali is the author of Astrologic and Angel Tech, and the director of Paratheatrical Research of Seattle. And now the preface. Enchantress, dragons and castles, a fairy princess, the wicked witch, the big bad wolf. We cannot imagine a childhood without fables and multidimensional characters, and characters who come to life as our heroes, heroines, nightmares, and dreams. These figures lead us to discover the treasures hidden within our own souls. Hidden in the story of Sleeping Beauty is the lessons of death and rebirth, and the miracles of transformation we encounter as we progress through childhood to adulthood. Buried beneath the theme of Grimm's Little Red Cap is an introduction to the stage of life called individuation. Inherent in the fable is the personal conflict we face as we counter the duality of adventure versus duty. The lesson entails curiosity, innocence, and the ultimate crisis of facing our own shadow, or the collective shadow, represented by the big bad wolf. Mother Goose is the historical harbinger of life and myth, for she symbolically laid the golden egg, the sun, the moon, and in some folklore, the entire universe. When we are young children, fantasy fills our lives. We are introduced to elves, gnomes, dwarves, and warriors, angels, and beasts. We learn that faith makes the soul shine, that purity is our greatest joy, and that suffering and sacrifice are the unpolished jewels of treasures yet to come. Fairy stories told and retold enrich the depths of our hearts, from which our hopes and ideals are born. No other literary creation has such a fundamental effect on us as the fairy tale. It is said that folklore was traditionally passed down by word of mouth from master to student in a way of enlightening the common folk. In a sense, then, the storyteller, parent, teacher, or anyone who tells a story becomes a mystic. The education that is brought forward in the myth is a seeding that prepares the fruitful foundation toward inner strength, security, and self-realization. Experiencing a myth internally encourages the 4 stages of development: the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Childhood stories are a vehicle through which we discover and honor the muse, what it is to be amused or enchanted. Why do we in fairy myth weave our way through horrific dramas of spellbinding proportion and, in the wink of an eye, find ourselves alchemized into stones, animals, witches, or frogs? In these transforming events, we lose touch with everyday reality, in a sense, lose our memory, so that we may be reborn. Once the spell is broken, a greater personal myth is born. The stories of yesteryear imply solutions. They are never meant to give answers, to judge, to punish, or to dismiss the reality that while we are mortal beings, we are not unlike the magnificent fairies, angels, and wizards encountered in the childhood literature. Early imprints of rhyme, riddle, and verse become the stepping stones toward maturation and imagination. The child's mind is full of created pictures. These images probe the soul, unveil the power of light and dark, and unleash the impulse to understand desire, love, and conflict. From the deep perception of storyhood, archetypes comes from the deep perception of storyhood. Archetypes comes from the awakening of the subconscious forces that in time heal the spirit. Life's riddles and complexities are not solved in words, but in foresight, clear vision, and experience. This inward knowledge renews the soul's life. We feel more youthful and vibrant as we grow into the imaginative world. because human beings must enter life through the gates of childhood. Fairy tales will always be here. They provide a fertile meeting point for the simple young mind and the wisdom of age. In our culture, we have lost contact with the storytellers of old. While many children hear the tales and understand the basic messages, it is the rare child who experiences a true magical and life-enhancing change of consciousness from listening to one of those stories. The recent inner child work that is becoming so prominent seeks to heal and unbind the wounded child within, guiding individuals back to a childlike state. From this place, whether joyful or sorrowful, a new acceptance of life and an initiation are inevitable as individuals journey into their wounded past. They ultimately find their way into the light. What is most inspiring about this is the realization that internal healing also touches the collective wound of humanity. Through our individual work, we guide the masses forward, not through words, but through actual cellular momentum, the quantum leap into universal service. It is our great hope that the inner child cards can add. It is our greatest hope that inner child cards can aid our planet during time of global metamorphosis. These cards, whether in the language of picture consciousness, inform this well of nourishment. A long lost inner voice may be heard again. We can all learn from the story of the countryman who was given a sandalwood forest by the king and burned it down to sell coal. We often cannot see the treasures that lie before us. Caught up in a desperate pursuit of survival, we sometimes destroy or ignore our most precious gifts. Each one of us is as rich and divine as the cosmic creator who guides us. Inner child cards is a tribute to our radiant selves. The star children who live within our hearts and speak the language is a tribute to our radiant selves and a tribute to the star children who live within our hearts and speak the language of love. As authors, we know language to be an integral aspect of our future, regardless of its mode: drawn, written, sung, danced, or painted. Language, which is our ability to communicate, is divine. In writing this book, we committed ourselves to producing the finest work we could. In our soul searching, we came upon the gender issue. Inherent in fairy tales, this is an important issue to all who use fables as teachings for their children or themselves. As you work with and experience inner child cards, you will encounter various characters and figures that may appear to be unjust representations of women and men. Please remember that in order to receive the purest teachings of the fairy tales, we cannot take the male and female images literally. They are soul aspects out of our subconscious development. This does not undermine the importance of strong, heroic images of women and girls, or loving, receptive images of men and boys, as a means of developmental guidance toward self-confidence and a healthy ego. To say this project has been inspiring for us would be an understatement. It has been an ongoing manifestation since our initial meeting at the Findhorn Foundation in Forres, Scotland in 1977. It was there that we began working together with the archetypes of the tarot. As many of you know, the Findhorn community began in 1962 with the arrival of Peter and Eileen Caddy and their companion Dorothy McLean. Over the years, amazing stories surfaced about Findhorn concerning magical gardens and the ritualistic attunement to spirits, devas, fairies, and other invisible beings who are a vital part of the world of nature. By the time of our arrival, the community was a thriving center of several hundred people working with personal transformation, education, and planetary service. Our experience at Findhorn was the source of playground from which inner child cards emerged. On New Year's Eve of 1978, near the stroke of midnight, we created a 13-card layout in a circle with 13 cards at the center. As we turned over this card together, the 0 card of the major trumps appeared. Spiritually and symbolically, our odyssey had begun. Within a few short months, we married and began touring the United States, offering group workshops on Findhorn astrology and the tarot. At the same time, in the womb of all of this excitement and travel, our daughter-to-be, Gabrielle, was gestating. Although we planned on leaving Findhorn in order to settle on the west coast of the United States, our inner teachers created a circular pilgrimage for both of us, leading us back to Findhorn, where Gabrielle was born December of 1979. Without our conscious awareness, in a truly inspiring way, we lived out New Year's Eve reading itself, both of us joining together as the full traveling the path of spiritual evolution. When we envisioned Little Red Cap as the full and inner child cards, we intuitively saw Gabrielle as the child traveling on the road of life. It is only now that we realize how poignant and significant that choice and synchronicity have been. Gabrielle turned 13 the year Inner Child Cards was published, which occurred 13 years following our initiation into the tarot together. These years parallel the number of cards in our first reading. We share this with you because it's an example of how tarot reading can literally become a life experience if we are courageous enough to live out its story. It seems lifetimes ago that we left Findhorn. We have encountered many twists and turns on the path, some painful, some joyous, all offering us opportunity for healing and growth. Today, no longer married, we are still linked by the golden thread of our children, Gabrielle and Katya, our work and our vision to carry out this project to completion in the truest sense. We are soul friends forever. On the deepest level, our children have been the inspiration behind the creation of this deck. Early in their lives, they began playing with our tarot packs. They loved the vivid images and would often ask for stories about their selected card. They were always drawn to the most inspired and beautiful cards. However, we wished our children could use a tarot deck that had less adult sophistication and more heart-centered pictures. One summer morning in 1988, at the time of the full moon, we had a wonderful vision of fairy tales and the tarot coming together to form a deck of cards for children and the young at heart. As we explored this idea, we found the mystical force of the tarot to be a graceful companion to the mystery teachings of fairy tales and myth. Many revelations that day showered down on us like brilliant falling stars. We were impregnated by a vision and wisdom beyond ourselves. Now a dream has come true for us. We are honored to have Baron Company publish these cards. Together, we set free the ideas and inspirations that have been gestating for years. This deck is like a butterfly liberated from its cocoon, open to light and dancing with fire. We hope that it finds its way into your heart. Stay tuned for Chapter 1, the Oracle and how to use this deck is next.